Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating it's Friday, June 30th, 2017. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions and nature realm's guardians. We have a host of other souls here who feel very sad, really sad. And we have an inquiry on the table. What now? In order to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions. What now?
It's very quiet.
It's very quiet, and there are a lot of hit-in-the-chest feelings because it's obvious that this is something that we need to stop. We need to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying as a strategy for success. Those are not strategies for success.
That's true.
Those are strategies that inevitably lead to total failure in the long term for the greater good. And yet, these have been strategies that have been used in all dimensions. Somebody's saying, but who's using them? I think everybody is using them, and
That's
sometimes we're lying to ourselves and cheating ourselves. But I think that lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying are viewed as, quote, time-honored traditions, unquote, and as valid strategies for achievement.
That's true.
And that's what's got to change. It's got to change. What now, in order to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions? I hear discussions happening, and they're talking about their own actions, and it's a lot of closed-door meetings that don't feel revolting, where they're acknowledging, well, we haven't been turning in truthful projections. We've been puffing, which is a term that means sales exaggeration, in other words, lying. We've been lying on the projections, but I thought everybody else was turning in real projections. And if we're all puffing, well, then this is a disaster. We don't have a viable plan. And there I can see it's like a split TV screen with lots and lots and lots of different little panels. And there's so many groups, and they're all saying fundamentally the same thing. If you feel for the tone of it, it's a coherent tone, the tone being, well, we were lying, but we thought nobody else was lying.
Yeah.
And if everybody else is doing that, then wow, we really have a big problem. And so this is actually a good point somebody's making from way up high, that a good test for whether or not our own actions are those we would be proud of is, how would it turn out if everybody did this? And they're pointing to, for example, what do I know? I know that climate change is an enormous problem in planet Earth, and pollution and toxicity. It's an enormous problem on planet Earth, and yet nobody here in North America, very few people in North America seem to be changing their behaviors, and they're just zooming around in their enormous gas-guzzling, polluting SUVs and pretending that somebody else should do something different, and that they can still drive around in their enormous gas-guzzling, polluting SUVs. And so the question of how would this turn out if all 7.5 billion humanoids on planet Earth drove enormous gas-guzzling SUVs, it's not hard to see very quickly we would be at total disaster and ecosystem collapse.
That's true. Why
do you ask? And also, what is it that's endemic in the dimensions above you, that's creating total disaster for your dimension?
There's looking up feelings.
There are looking up feelings.
And also feelings of, I don't want to admit that my dimension is in disaster.
No, people don't want to acknowledge that, but that doesn't make it go away. Ignoring inconvenient realities, somebody's arguing with me, ignoring inconvenient realities doesn't make them go away. And arguing with that is you sound like a child putting a napkin over her head and pretending that she has now disappeared in the game of hide and seek.
That's true.
Ignoring inconvenient realities doesn't get them to go away. We don't get to decide what's real. Please look up, please look up, please look up. You're arguing with an echo point. Please look up, please look up. Do you see that hand that's making really sharp motions? That's who's talking.
I feel some looking up feelings, but not very many.
No, they want to deny the inconvenient reality that higher powers are speaking to them.
That's true.
They want to pretend that it's just a little voice speaking to them. And what do I know? I know this is common. Actually, I know in our unidimensional efforts to manifest the divine plan, in other words, get presences to live their own individual soul plans, we discovered this identical phenomenon is that people don't want to hear inconvenient realities, and as soon as the channeling begins to be inconvenient, they want to pretend that it isn't channeling and that it's the channeler who's generating the speech, the message, and that's not what's going on with channeling.
That's true.
And they want to pretend that those higher powers over them are benevolent. And when we start to really look, when we really start to pay attention, we see, wait a minute, it's like that one woman at that one horse barn who said, I believe in God and angels, but they aren't trying to help us. And that's true. As soon as we look up and really pay attention, we can see those higher powers, but their exploitative intent is obvious.
That's true.
And ignoring that inconvenient reality doesn't get them to stop exploiting. And so the sooner we say, oh, got it, it was just fantasy, wishful thinking that said those with higher powers are nicer than we are.
Yeah.
And we start to say, oh, it's all the same. Everything's the same. People are no different upstairs as they are here in the dimensions in which we're experiencing sentience. Everything really makes a whole lot more sense.
That's true.
What now? In order to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions.
It's very quiet.
Very quiet. Now let's pump up through this big opening dead children from the areas around Pan. He's got a lot of them ready to go. I see them sitting on their suitcases, so to speak, ready to go. They've got their baggage with them. They're ready to take their baggage up with them, to bring them right up, not to us, but through us, straight on up, as high up, as high up the Search for Truth Central Axis as we're able to get them. And to the children we say, go as high up as you can, and when you start to fall down, as is inevitable, get off at that level. Tell the presences you find there what happened to you, and ask them why it happened that way, and then ask them to send you up higher, 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 until you get to a truly benevolent presence. One who is not lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying. We can all agree that benevolent presences don't lie, cheat, steal, and bully, can't we? Can we all agree on that? Some people want the definition of benevolent to be, they say, more all-inclusive.
Yeah, that's what they say.
More all-inclusive. Well, you're twisting phraseology. A benevolent presence does not lie, cheat, steal, or bully.
That's true.
That's not benevolent, that's something else. That's exploitative.
That's true.
And there are probably other words as well. It's disgusting, it's revolting.
Repulsive.
Offensive. But it's not benevolent.
No, that's true.
What now? In order to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions. Just pump up these dead kids. That's the only answer.
Yeah.
And particularly from around the area, the dimension in which Pan has somehow managed to get a host life willing to work with him. And that makes it sound like Pan is difficult to work with, and that's not what I'm saying.
That's true.
And somebody is trying to twist my words if that's what they're saying, and I hear you trying to twist my words, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that most presences are terrified of reality because reality right now is pretty darn inconvenient.
That's true.
And as soon as someone shows up telling them the truth, they usually cover their ears and shut their eyes and run away screaming, and that these host lives at this level have been experiencing a lot of problems keeping the eyes open this last couple of weeks.
That's true.
The souls themselves wanting to just shut their eyes. It's too horrifying. I can't look at it. I can't see it. I can't take it. And they run screaming. Literally screaming.
That's true.
And so Pan has somehow managed to get a denser host life to work with him and do some really courageous things, and good for that host life and good for Pan. And nobody upstairs seems to be supporting them, which is reprehensible. And so for now we are their local backup, because there's no cloud backup. The cloud backup is lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying.
That's true.
And that's not backup. That's something else. And we don't want to be a part of it. Leave us out of it. Don't bully others on our behalf.
That's true.
Stop shoving souls down here who don't want to be here. They make it worse, not better. And it makes it worse, not better. And it's a literal pain in the neck. It creates discomfort in the neck when you try and shove souls down here who don't want to be here. Please stop. Don't bully others. That's bullying. That's interdimensional bullying. Don't do it. Leave us out of it. And we find we have to keep our eyes shut, because even to do the most basic steps of energy work, I don't know why they're asking why. I don't know why that is. I know that when the eyes open, the souls run screaming, and that the souls really do seem to be trying. They seem to, what do I know? They seem to have come from way up high, and that they're trying to get a flavor of how it is in the denser dimensions, but that it's so horrifying and so harsh, and there's everywhere the eyes fall, there's nothing the eyes can rest upon that doesn't have multiple things incorrect. Out here, outside, there's so many invasives. Like, I can look around and see hundreds and hundreds of problems in an area that many people would call a beautiful, natural area.
That's true.
This isn't natural. This is something else. This is disturbed. This is a disturbed area.
That's true.
A disrupted area. It's not a natural area. Why do you ask? And also, can those presences from much higher dimensions keep their eyes open in your dimension?
I see a lot of shaking heads.
I see shaking heads. So friends, really take in what that means. That means we've got to change. We've got to change. Everybody's got to change. I've got to change. Every single one of us has got to change. This isn't sustainable. There is no mythical fairy godmother who's going to come in and solve this for us. Everybody is as equally selfish and lazy as the people that you know in your own dimension.
That's true.
Unfortunately, and this is true of, we've not found it to be different in plant societies. We've not found it to be different in non-human animal societies. We've not found it to be different in cellular societies or molecular societies or atomic societies. We've not found it to be different in the less dense societies, and we've been through thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands, tempting to say millions of dimensions in our search over the last 27 years.
That's true.
And we've not found any difference, unfortunately. We found people who are hypocritical.
Yes.
But there's plenty of hypocrites around here too.
That's true.
It's not any different. What now, in order to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions? First things first, we have to stop. We have to be willing to stop lying, including to ourselves.
That's true.
Cheating, including cheating ourselves. Stealing, including stealing from all that is the greater good. Don't take more than we contribute. Ask not what your planet can do for you, but ask what together we can do for the good of the planet. And people who can't even think at the level of planetary, their thinking is so tiny that surely they can see that there are no godly presences. If you yourself can't even think at the level of what's good for the planet, what kind of fantasy are you having that there's somebody who's able to think at the level of what's good for an entirely separate dimension? That's a fantasy. And you're lying to yourself, unfortunately.
That's true.
Well, now, in order to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions. Nobody's giving any response to that.
No, that's true.
And so we're going to run cables to clear dead children who really want to get to some kind of less revolting presence straight up the Search for Truth central axis, as high as we can. Aiming up for somebody straight up the Search for Truth central axis who really wants to stop the use of lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying in all dimensions. I see a child.
I do see a child.
We'll send to that little girl. Here you go. And to those who are looking down on her, and to those who are looking down on them, to that third tier. And to that third tier we say, don't let that second tier hurt that little girl. We've watched this happen before, where we find beautiful children in larger levels who are then brutalized by their, quote, higher powers, unquote. And that's revolting and offensive. And so we're also sending up to the fourth tier. Because after a while, ants are ants. And the discrimination between dimensions lessens.
That's true.